Okay, so uh, let's start with the Git, and I will create a new playlist of Git, and in that playlist, like I will going to put some videos related to the Git stuffs. Like some might be basic, some might be like intermediate level. So the first video is uh, dependent bot video. So this is very useful. So what is this? Configure a dependent bot to raise a PR for the Docker image changes. So what exactly it is and why we are doing this. So as an example, when you are working on any project, right? So currently all the projects are containerized, right? So if you are creating some microservices, the microservices are based upon the container. So based upon the container means so in that particular repo, so there should be some Docker file, right? So there should be some Docker file, right? Right. So when you are going to create some Docker file, so as an example, so let's suppose there is a repo, test dependent bot repo. So there is any repo, a repo name, and the Docker file could be on the root folder, or it could be on any subdirectory folder, right? So let's open the Docker file. So on the Docker file, the first line is from. So from the base image, right? So from the base image. So when you start working on the project, at that time whatever the latest image is available, so you are using that. So as an example, let's suppose I am working on some project and I am using Python 3.11 version, right? And for the Python 3.11 version, at that time this hash is available, this digest is available, or you can say this digest is latest. So I have added this digest, right? So now what I did is like I raised a PR and get it reviewed and merged into the master branch, or you can say the main branch, right? But from time to time, this digest get updated. From time to time, this digest get updated, right? But how we are going to know whether this digest get updated? Because if we are not going to update this digest, right, or maybe this version, this Python version, then we are continuously using our old things, and which might have the vulnerability, because at that time when we are using this digest, uh, there is no vulnerability, but over the time the vulnerability exists. So, and if we are not updating our digest, then our project has the lot of vulnerabilities, right? So one thing is, on the regular basis you go to the, you try to download this latest version, and so on like Docker pull, and you can just paste till this, till slim, and whatever the latest digest will be available, then you can update your Docker file. That is the manual task, and there are, let's suppose there are 10 projects you are working on, so you can't like on the regular basis check each and every project. So what is the other option? So other option is, so there is a dependent bot, right? So dependent bot, so bot means just a like automatic process, right? So it is available in the GitHub only, so it is a free version only. So there is a dependent bot. You just need to configure that dependent bot in your GitHub repo, right? And what, so dependent bot can be configured for so many things. So one thing is that what it will do is it will scan your repo. It will check, okay, where is the Docker file, and it will automatically going to update these things. It is automatically going to update these things. So as an example, so I created this repo. So I created this repo and I put the this digest, but whether this digest is latest or not, I don't know, right? So what happened is I have already configured the dependent bot in this repo, and when the dependent bot runs automatically, so we can schedule the dependent bot whether it wants to run daily, whether it wants to run monthly, whether it wants to run weekly, right? So depends upon the scheduling time when it runs. So it is going to raise a pull request. So you could see these pull requests raised by the dependent bot. So these pull request raised by dependent bot. So if you click on it, so I don't need to manually raise the pull request. So if you click on the file changed, you could see it says I am using the old hash. And automatically it raised the PR with the new hash available. What we just need to do is we just need to review the changes and just merge the pull request. That's it. All right. So how we can do that? So we will see this in practical, right? So, okay, if you want to go through the documentation, so there is a documentation available. So in the GitHub docs, so there is a code security section. Under that, there is option configure dependent bot.yaml file. So how to configure? So dependent bot YAML is like for so many things, as I told you. In this video, we are going to see how it is going to update the Docker images. It might, so I said dependent bot is for so many things. One thing is because we are raising the pull request to update the Docker images. The other could be thing like you are using some Python version. All right, if you are using a Python project, then you are using Python version in the requirement.txt file or the pip file. All right. So if the latest version is available, then it is going to automatically raise a PR for you. Okay, you are using this version, but you are using 1.2 version. Now 1.2.3 is available or 1.3 is available. So it is just going to raise a PR for that. But how it is automatically going that? If the dependent mode is not configured in your repo, then it is not going to raise a PR for you. So how to do that? So what we will do is, so we will going to create a new repo. All right. So let's create a let me create a new repo. So go to here, go to repository. Let's create a new repo and give the name testing. So give the name testing and let make it public and create a repository. So repo has been created. Click on the SSH and copy it. Open the git bash and do git clone. Hit enter. So it is empty. So go to cd testing. Okay. Now run all this command echo testing. It is just going to create a readme file and just add git add readme git commit -m added readme. Just setting up the repo. That's it. And git push -u origin main. So I have pushed that. Now you can refresh it. So like we have created our project which has just the readme file. Now let me push the some Docker file and with the old hash. So let me copy the Docker file from here because it has the old hash. So it could be any Docker file. So I just copy paste here and let me create a Docker file. So let me open the project and yeah. So project has been opened and let me create a Docker file. So I created a Docker file. Let's paste it. Right. And let me create a directory as well. So maybe Python 310 and I can create a one more directory, Python 311. So this Docker file is of Python 3.10. Basically what I'm doing is I am putting the Docker file on the root directory as well, along within the subdirectories as well. So Docker file, so paste it. So two Docker file has been created, one on the root, one is in the Python 3.10. And let me create one more Docker file in the 311 version. And let me get the Docker file for 311. So yeah. So now uh, it's 311. Yes. So now it's created. So let me add it. Git status. So let me ignore this using git ignore file. So let's add everything. Git ignore. Docker file, Python 310, Python 311, and git commit -m added Docker files, git push. So let's open our project. Let's refresh it. So you could see our project is ready and our project has Docker file here, our project has here and here. But I could see no pull request has been raised. No pull, even though I am using the old uh, Docker file hash version, right? But still there is no pull request available because in this project, in this repo, dependent bot is not configured. So how to configure our dependent bot? So go to the insights. So click on the insights, click on the dependency graph. So click on the dependent bot and enable the dependent bot. So now we have enabled the dependent bot, or if you can enable the dependent bot directly from here as well. So click on the settings, come to the code security and analysis. So there is a option dependency graph. Now it's disabled because we have enabled from the insights option, or you can enable from here. So click on insights, click on the dependent graph and click on the dependent bot. Now I need to create a config file. So click on the config file. All right. So you could see some template is available for you. All right. So now I need to create a config file. So version 2 means that is a dependent bot version. Which version of dependent bot we are using? Version 2. What we have to update? So package ecosystem. What we have to update? We have to update our Docker file. Okay. What are these variables? So you can come here. You can come into this document. I can share. You could see all the option package ecosystem, allow directory, so all these options, so all these options you can use. So what is package ecosystem? Package ecosystem, which package you want to update? Are you going to pay, like update your Docker file, or are you going to update your git submodule? Are you going to update Gradle version? Are you going to put Maven version? Are you going to update npm version? Are you going to update pip version? What you are going to update, right? So we currently in this video we are going to see how to update the Docker images. So I just put a Docker, okay, directory. So I have okay, let's put the root directory, location directory, that is root. Okay, schedule interval, interval weekly, or you can say daily. So if you come here, so everything is given here. So if I come here, I could see interval. Yeah, schedule dot interval, and if you click on it, you could see daily means runs on every weekday, Monday to Friday. Weekly means like runs once each week. By default, this is on Monday. Monthly means every month. This is the first day of the month. All right. So we have configured everything. Okay. So this is the basic things. This is the basic thing. So what it will do? So let's see. Let's see. And then we will try to improve that. So let's commit the changes and let's directly commit on the main branch. Let's directly commit on the main branch. So what it is going to do is it is going to create a .github folder. Under the GitHub folder, it is going to create a one dependent bot.yaml file. So I am going to commit directly to the main branch. So now I click on the directly to the main branch. But what is happening? Is the pull request created? No. So let's see what is happening. Go to the insights, go to the dependency graph, go to the dependent bot. So let's see what it is running. See, now the Docker file has been picked. Root Docker file has been picked, but we have three Docker file, but only one Docker file is picked because we have given the root directory in our. So if I show you again, so we have like a Docker file on the root directory, and in the GitHub, in the dependent board, we only tell just pick the one which is in the root directory. So that's why the one which is going to pick the root directory. So if you click on the run update jobs, and you can see affected one. So now you could see one pull request has been created. One pull request has been created. But what is happening behind the scene? Let's see. If I click on it and if I see what it changed, if I change file, okay, so now you could see it has changed my hash. It has changed my hash from 51 to 666. All right. So C6, C6. Okay, so it has updated my hash. Okay, now what we have to do is we want, because if you come here, let me close that. Let me close this. Yeah, let me go to the insights again. Let me go to dependency graph, go to dependent bot. You could see only one Docker file has been scanned, not all three. Right. So what we have to do is we have to update our repo. So click on GitHub, click on the dependent bot YAML. So I am directly updating on the main branch. You can do from the uh, you can say PyCharm or any IDE, and then create a PR and then review it and then merge it. So edit it. So now I want is it should update it should scan all the three Docker files. So what I have to do is just copy paste this and paste two more times. One time, one more time. All right. So let's give some space. All right. Okay. What is the another location? So another location is Python 3110. The another location is Python 311. Let's commit it. And I am committing on directly on the main branch. Now let's go to the insights. Let's go to the dependency graph. Let's go to the dependent bot. Now we could see all the three Docker file has been picked. So if I click on it, so this has been picked, this has been picked, this has been picked. Run update jobs. So now you could see three pull request has been created. Three pull request has been created. But one thing is going to be noticed. If you click on it, now you could see what it did is we are using Python 3.11 version. It update to 3.12, which we don't want. I am using Python 3.11 only. I don't want to update my version Python 3.12. What I want is I just want to update the digester. So by default, it will do is by default it can, if it find the latest version, it is going to update that. If it is so it is going to check everything. It is going to check the minor version, it is going to check the major version, it is going to check the patch as well. It is also going to check the digest as well. All right. So by default it is going to do everything, because in our code, so you could see three pull request has been created because we have the three files, so automatically it has been created. And if you click here, go to the dependent bot. So by default, nothing has been ignored. By default, nothing has been ignored. So if you come here, so we have so many options. So we have so many options here, like package system directory. So package system, we have used Docker directory. We have used, okay, in which directory we have the Docker file. Schedule interval we have used. At what time we have to use, we have to run that. So there is a target as well. There is a target as well. Target branch. So on which branch the pull request has been created. If you if you go here, so let me click on the pull request, and if I click on it, so you could see pull request has been created on the main branch. Right. So basically the merge is on the main branch. So if you want, the merge should be on some other branch. Right. So you can give the target branch to some other feature branch. So there are so many options. But there is a one more option, ignore. So there is an ignore option. So if you click on the ignore option, so we can ignore few things. What we have to ignore? We have to ignore the major version. We have to ignore the minor version. We have to ignore the patch version as well. So we have to ignore all those things. So how to do that? So we have to update our dependent bot YAML file. And so let me just copy paste the content. Test dependent bot, GitHub dependent bot YAML. So what I have to do is I have to ignore all those things. Let me copy paste and let me edit directly here and enter here. So ignore. So ignore should be outer. So under the ignore, so you can see the syntax from here as well. So under the ignore, we have to give the dependency name and we have to give the update types. So three update types are like accepted only, major, minor, and the patch. So these are the supported, and this is the syntax. Ignore, dependency name, and update types. So what we are going to update, what we are going to ignore. Okay. So I don't want my Python version should be updated, right? I don't want my Python version should be updated, right? So I want to ignore the major version. I want to ignore the minor version. I want to ignore the patch. I want to use 3.11 only in my project, but I want the digest, that is the SHA 2556, that is digest, or you can say hash, should be updated. So that's why I am putting this ignore. So ignore, yeah. So now it has been updated. And but before that, let me close this pull request, because I don't want my version 3.11 to 3.12. So close the pull request, and let me close other two. Let me see. In this, it did not update it for 3.10 to 3.12. So that is fine, but still we can close that. And let's see the another one. In the another one also, it was 3.10, so it did not update to 3.11 or 12. But in other case, it has updated that from 3.11 to 3.12. So yeah, so now there is no pull request. Now I can directly commit the changes, and I can directly commit the change on my master branch, or you can say the main branch. So now there is no pull request. Let's see whether it is scanning again or not. So now you could see all the three jobs has been running, and we will see whether the pull request has been created or not. So one pull request has been created. One pull request has been created. So earlier, what was happening? It was updating from 3.11 to 3.12. Now we should see it should not update 3.11 to 3.12. It should keep 3.11 version, but only update the digest. So let's see. Go to the dependency graph. Go to the dependent bot. So recent. So no PR has been affected. So why no PR has been affected? A PR4 has been created, which is fine. So if you click here, and if you click here, and you go here, so now you could see earlier 3.11 version was there, and it's changed to 3.12. But now it did not change to 3.11 to 3.12. So now only the digest has been changed, and this PR has been raised by the bot only. And I think why it did not pick the other two, because we have closed that. That could be one of the reason. And it says because there is no change and you don't want, so I'm not going to raise the same thing again. So maybe we can go to the closed request, and if you open it, dependency commands, and if we close this, we'll close this PR and stop dependent bot recreating it. You can achieve the same result by closing it manually. So that's why it is not raising a new PR, because we have closed this PR and stop dependent bot stop creating it, and we can achieve this. Okay. And if we want, we can reopen it. All right. So just by putting this dependent bot reopen command, I think we have to give here comment. So it is going to reopen maybe. Yeah, now the pull request has been opened. All right. So that's it. That's the end of the video. So this is like very useful thing in the project. So maybe in your project, if you are struggling to configure the dependent bot and you have to manually update your Docker file again and again, update, or maybe there is some vulnerability and you don't want, you want to like keep less vulnerability. So what you can do is you can just configure your dependent bot, and it's very easy. You have to just create a You have to just go to the insights and go to the dependency graph, go to the dependent bot and just configure. There is a configure button because we already configured. There is a configure button. Click on that, or that is the UI. If you don't want to do the use the UI, then just create a .github folder, and under that create a dependent bot YAML file. If you use the UI, it is going to update. It is going to give you some default template, and if you are not going to use the UI, so you have to write everything from the scratch, right? And I told you the other option, because by default it is going to update your major minor version. If you want to ignore, generally we want to ignore, so that's why like we updated, we have to use the ignore option. And there are so many options, but these are like commonly used. So that's it. That is the end of the video, and thank you.